We've all felt it. The moment you're looking right at your kid, your teenager, and they feel like a locked door. That massive echoing gap between the words they say and the energy you feel, that is the unspoken conversation. Your only job in that moment is to listen. Do not interrupt them. Don't problem solve. You just listen. Hello and welcome back to Talking Teens Official. I'm Nural and thank you for joining me and for your listening ears. I really appreciate it. Today we're starting the next part of our season, the language of connection. We're diving into one of the most confusing and honestly most frustrating parts of parenting a teenager. We're talking about the unspoken conversation. We've all felt it. The moment you're looking right at your kid, your teenager, and they feel like a locked door. You ask the simple caring question, what's wrong? And you get the classic one-word brick wall answer, nothing, or I'm fine. But their whole body, their tone of voice, the way they won't meet your eye, or the way they just sighed when they walked through the door, it's all screaming that it's not fine. That gap, that massive echoing gap between the words they say and the energy you feel, that is the unspoken conversation. And as parents, it can be a place of real anxiety. We want to help, we want to connect, but we can't get in. But here's what I've learned from 20 years in the classroom. The unspoken conversation isn't always about a big, dark, hidden secret. Sometimes it's just much more subtle. And today I want to start with one of those moments because the way we handle it is the key to building the trust we need for the big stuff. The other day I even noticed it with my own daughter. She's probably not going to like me saying this, but there was no big drama. Nothing was wrong, but I could just tell her energy was low. She just wasn't feeling it that day. So instead of pushing her to diagnose herself with a what's wrong, I just called it like I saw it. I named it. I said to her, I can see you're not feeling it today, are you? And she looked right at me and she said, that's exactly it. You get it. I'm just not feeling it today. Nothing's wrong, but not today. And that was it. That was the entire conversation. I didn't need to unpack what she was feeling. I didn't need to find a solution. All I needed to do was just see her, validate her unspoken feeling, and let her know that it was okay if you're just not feeling it. That right there is the art of the unspoken conversation. It's not always about solving a problem. It's about providing a safe harbor. So we've talked about the simple, low-stakes mood. But what about the middle ground scenario? The one that is the most frustrating for parents. This is when their words and their body language are in a direct fight. You ask, what's wrong? They say, nothing, I'm fine. But their shoulders are slumped, their tone is flat, and they're staring at the floor. Now the correction path is to immediately confront the mismatch, to say, no, you're not all right. I can tell something's wrong. Why don't you just tell me what's wrong? And all that does is build a higher wall. The connection approach is a do with you approach. It gives parents tools, not just a script. Because you as a parent know your child best. So I'm going to give you the script for a do with you approach so you can try it depending on your child and your relationship. The first tool you can actually use in that moment when you get the I'm fine brick wall is not to push up against it. Instead, just pause and flick your own memory back. Ask yourself, what happened yesterday? Did they have a test they were worried about and I forgot about? Did they mention a small argument with a friend a couple of days ago? I can't remember. They are probably just hung up on something that happened earlier in the day or even earlier in the week. And by flicking your memory back, you're not just reacting to the current mood, you're looking for the real source. And then you can gently offer a connection. You just wait a bit. Maybe make them a cup of tea or whatever and just gently say, I was thinking about what you said the other day. The situation with your friend sounded a bit tough. Is that what's on your mind? And all of a sudden, you're not a detective interrogating them. You're a parent who remembers their story. That's a good one. The next tool I want you can actually use is probably one of my favorites, and it's whether or not you're naturally inclined to do it. And I'm going to just call it a Goofy Pattern Interrupt, because sometimes you don't have a specific memory to draw on, or you've literally forgotten. So here's another tool you can use, and this one is about using a bit of humor to break the tension. You can try asking inquisitive questions, but in their language. You can lean on the doorframe, give them a little sly smile and say, all right, where's your head at? Or what's the 411? Or what's the down low? And to be honest, you're probably going to sound a bit stupid saying it, and that's the point. It's a pattern interrupt. It's a slight mood shifter. It's so unexpected that it might just crack a smile or get you a real answer. It shows you're not there to lecture them. You're just trying to connect. And you know your kids best. Do what you think will work, and if it doesn't, you try something else. Now we need to talk about the third most serious level of the unspoken conversation. This is when your parental antenna isn't just twitching, it's waving a big red flag. This is when we move from reading a simple mood to reading persistent signs that something deeper might be wrong. These are the 4 flags that I would say would set my teacher hat off in the classroom, and then the ones you should be watching for at home as well. If you notice a sudden loss of appetite or a dramatic change in eating habits, or a sudden drop in their mood that isn't just for an afternoon, but one that lasts for several days or even longer. If they are actively withdrawing from you or pulling away from the family, from their friends, or from activities they used to love, things they used to love, they're just not finding the same joy in as what they used to. Keep an eye on that one. And then there is a sudden uncharacteristic change in their appearance. For example, a teen who is suddenly compulsively covering up, like wearing long sleeves and jumpers, even in warm weather, when they never used to. Now, as a parent, seeing one of these signs can be a little bit scary, and that list is not by all means a full comprehensive list. It's just some common things you should watch out for. So your first instinct might be to rush in and demand answers, or just keep hounding them with questions to get answers because you want to fix it and you want to help them. I get it. But just like our 7-second pause for our triggers episode, which was episode 21, this is the most important moment for you to lead with calm and not fear. So what you can do, you can choose your moment and lead with a gentle observation. Find a quiet, low-pressure moment, like when you're driving in the car. Just ask them to take the earbuds out. And instead of a big, scary, confrontational question like, what's wrong with you? You just lead with a simple, non-judgmental, loving observation. Hey, I've noticed you're not seeming quite like yourself lately. I just wanted to check in with you. How are you feeling? How are you really feeling? You are opening a door very gently without accusation. You're creating a safe place for them to talk if they are ready. You're showing them you're not an interrogator. You are their safe harbor. So the next thing is, what do you actually do when you've made that gentle observation and you're sitting there with your kid? So what are you going to do if you're a bit concerned? Well, again, your first job is to be their safe harbor. After you've made your observation, one of 2 things will happen. The first thing that can happen is that they can shut you down again. They can say, I'm fine, just leave me alone. I don't want to talk about it. But you must not retreat. You're going to be not aggressive, but lovingly persistent. You need to say, okay, you don't have to talk about it right now, but I love you too much to pretend that I don't see that you're hurting. I'm not mad. I'm just here. I'll be in the kitchen if you want to chat. That's it. The second thing you can do, or the second thing that can happen, is that they will talk and then they break down. They tell you the big scary thing. In this moment, your fix-it instinct will go into overdrive. You must fight it. Your only job in that moment is to listen. Do not interrupt them. Don't problem solve. You just listen. You nod and you say, "Thanks for telling me. That sounds incredibly hard. Tell me more about that." The second thing you need to do is to be the advocate. So if they have shared something with you and after the storm has calmed, your next job is to be their advocate. This is not something you should handle alone. So if they tell you a big scary thing, this is when you say to them, "Thank you for telling me. I'm proud of you for sharing that. I feel really special that you've actually told me that." But this is not something you have to carry by yourself. We are on the same team and we'll handle this together. But I need some help to be able to help you with it. So you should be saying to the kids, "I'm going to contact a professional. I might contact the school's wellbeing coordinator tomorrow," and just let them know and to look out for you and find if there's anyone you should talk to. By doing this, you're showing them that their problem isn't too big, that it's solvable, but they're not alone and there's people out there that are capable and willing to help them. So we've given you the tools to read the cues and the scripts for what to say, but the most important part of this conversation hasn't even started. It's the unspoken conversation that you're having with your kids. So everything up until now I've spoken about is the words. But remember that 93% of our communication is nonverbal. It's our tone of voice. It's our physiology. It's our body language. And your kid is actually an expert in reading this in you. So you can have the most perfect, gentle, observational words, but if your body is communicating anxiety, judgment, or anger, that is the only message they'll receive. So the final thing, the final tool I'm going to give you that you can actually use is before you say a word, I want you to do a body scan. First, check your body. Are your arms crossed? Is your jaw tight? Or the classic, which you might not even realize you're doing, are you standing over them, pointing down? This is the body language of correction and confrontation. The body language of connection, however, is different. Get on their level. If they're on the couch, don't stand over them. Go and sit on the other end at a slight angle. Just turn your body towards them. Keep your arms and legs uncrossed. This is the safe harbor posture. It non-verbally communicates, "I'm not a threat. I'm not here to fight." The second thing I want you to do, and I'll be honest, I struggle with this one, is I want you to check your tone. Before you speak, take a breath. Because when we're anxious or angry, our voices get higher, faster, and tighter. So I want you to consciously pitch your voice lower and slower than you normally would. A calm, slow, and lower tone of voice non-verbally communicates, "I'm not panicking. I can handle whatever you have to tell me." Your calm body and your calm tone are what actually create the safe space for truth. So let's bring it on together again in true teacher style. I'll recap. We've learnt that our teens are always communicating, and often their real message isn't their words, but in their silence. It's their shrugs. It's their eye rolls. We've explored how to handle this on 3 different levels. First, how to validate a simple low-stakes mood, like in my "you get it" story. Second, we learned what to do when their words say "I'm fine," but their body screams everything is wrong. Using and being a compassionate detective, or using a goofy kind of pattern interrupt with using their language. Finally, we looked at the serious red flags and the crucial 2-step plan for when you see them. Your first job is to give them the safe harbor by listening, and your second job is to be their advocate by letting them or helping them get some professional help. Ultimately, this episode is about shifting our perspective from trying to fix their words to learning how to read their world. This whole conversation reminds me of a Sir Ken Robinson quote. using body language, the tone, the mood. He said that our school systems are obsessed with only linguistic and mathematical intelligence, but they ignore all the others, like kinesthetic intelligence or emotional intelligence. And I believe that as parents, we can fall into the same trap sometimes. When we only listen to our teens' words, we are only engaging with their linguistic intelligence, the use of their language. Their body language, their energy, their silence, that is a whole other form of communication. Learning to read the unspoken conversation is how we learn to see our kids in their entirety, not just the words they're able to say. Next time on Talking Teens, we're continuing our deep dive into the language of connection. We'll be tackling the most powerful and practical tool a parent has, the question. We've all asked those questions that get a one-word answer, or worse, start a fight. But what if the right question, asked in the right way, could change your kid's entire perspective? Join me as we learn how to stop asking questions that shut them down and start asking the ones that flip the script and help your kid, your teenager, find their own solution. If you enjoyed this episode and want to continue the conversation, please follow and subscribe on all my social media channels for Talking Teens Official. And if you find real value in what I'm doing here, please consider buying me a coffee. I'll put a QR code in the comments and the show notes, and you can donate any amount you choose. And remember, every little bit helps fuel my late night coffee supply while I'm editing these episodes for you. The last thing I want you to do is I need you to join my school community. We're having some great conversations in there, so come on in and take a look. Until then, remember that focus, connection over correction. Thanks for listening. I'm Nural, and this is Talking Teens Official.